Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Welcome to It's the Real to Me. I'm your host, John Kuchar, aka Johnny Fashion. It is Survivor Series weekend coming up, and we have our very own It's the Real to Me Survivor Series team tonight. We've got a full house. First, we've got the enforcer of the group, Big Bad Harmon. What's going on, Harmon?
It's a four-man team, but I count as two. So.
That's true. That is true. Very nice. We also have in the house returning Gregular. What's happening?
It's me. It's Greg.
Very
almost regular Greg.
Yes. And then,
Semi-regular Greg.
and then rounding out this stellar team. Welcome back to the show, Bouch. What's happening, buddy?
It's good to be back. It's just surviving the week. This is a treat.
I love it. I love it. So tonight is our Survivor Series preview and predictions show. We made the decision a while ago to cut back on these types of shows because there's a goddamn pay-per-view every 2 weeks now. So it was just getting a little too intense. So we decided to do the Big Four, and Survivor Series falls into the Big Four. I love Survivor Series. I don't know about you guys, but it's one of my favorites. It's just such a cool premise, and it has some history to it. It's been around for a long time. So
Survivor Series used to be one of my favorites. Now it's not so much.
Yeah. They really
for a couple of years they stopped doing Survivor Series matches at Survivor Series, so that always puzzled me. But I'm glad they kind of went back to the 5-on-5 stuff.
I think
They really seem to be focused on it here. So
yeah, exactly.
I think they only had one 5-on-5 match last year. Well, they had two. They had one on the pre-show and then one
just got thrown together.
One. Yeah,
like at the last minute. Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely been weird. But man, I remember like the good old days in like the '90s where they were pretty consistent with their Survivor Series teams, and it really didn't have anything to do with anything. Like they didn't continue storylines or anything. It was just jumbling a bunch of superstars together that kind of made sense. You know, you had like Hogan with God, I don't know, whoever he was teaming up with, like some other baby faces, Hogan and like Tugboat and like Hacksaw, taking
Brutus
on like
Barber Beefcake.
Oh yeah, Brutus was always on Team Hogan somewhere. Taking on like Demolition and like Earthquake, or I don't know. I'm just throwing out like 80s and 90s heels.
The $1 Million team.
Survivor Series was also the debut of The Rock. I watched that video this morning.
Yeah.
He was on a random Survivor Series team with like Mark Marrow and Barry Windham. It was very bizarre, but it was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, and he was the lone survivor, if my memory serves me.
I believe so. Yeah, and his head looked like a pineapple, and he was wearing like really weird, like streamers on his neck thing.
And I haven't watched it in a while, but I heard somewhere recently that he like totally screwed it up and was like not looking in the hard cam like when he was doing at the end of the match. I don't know how true that is, but I got to go back and take a look at it.
He completely turns around and he's like yelling at the crowd, and it's the back of his head the whole way.
What a noob! Who would have thought that guy would have been the biggest star of them all?
I know.
Not to mention the sexiest man alive.
Oh, that's right. How about that breaking news? Oh my goodness, sexiest man alive.
My letters finally paid off.
And The Rock went over, fellow Hawaiian crush in that match.
Whoa, that's a name drop. You actually, this is the second week in a row that you were here last week.
I was a big Crush fan as a kid.
Yeah, you phantomly mentioned Crush last week on the show, not even being here.
I was a fan of the bright orange and purple and whatever he wore, and he squeezed guys' heads in that Crush vice hold at the end.
That was your favorite Crush?
Yeah, that was my favorite Crush.
Wow.
What about
the gayest of crushes?
Yeah. What's that, Greg?
Greg, what'd you say?
Something, buddy?
I said, what about Biker Crush?
Yeah, the
no, I
DOA.
wasn't a fan.
No. Yeah, I don't think anybody was. So, oh gosh, that was a long
Crush.
intro. It's Crush. Long intro. All right, guys. So the deal is tonight we're gonna hit some recent news. Then we're gonna go into some. We're gonna go right into our Survivor Series preview and predictions. And then we got a few fantasy Survivor Series teams from some listeners that we'll mention later. We did that last week. That was a fun episode last week. That Greg and I had with the fantasy teams. It was really fun to kind of come up with some more teams. So
what was the best you've ever sounded, Harmon?
Oh, the team is just imploding right now.
Where's my dump button?
For God's sakes, do not download Google Effects again. Do not turn that on. Oh, man. All right, before we get into the show, we're going to get into some plugs. If you guys want to check us out, we're on iTunes, Podbean, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, smarkandmark.com. Get us straight from the source. Wherever you guys get your podcasts from, search ISR2M Podcast, and you're going to find us. Rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps the show. Also, Big Bad Harmon, you got a trip ahead of you this weekend? Heading up to
Limitless Wrestling at the American Legion Hall in Orono, Maine for Hogwash.
Hogwash. Should be a good show. I wish I was going. I cannot make it. I've got some stuff going on, but I will be there in spirit. You will be the It's Surreal to Me podcast representative up there. So do us proud. Should be a good show.
I'll see if I can get my girlfriend to play the role of Brandon this time and hold all the gear while I do interviews.
Yes, exactly. Who's going to be on that show? Anybody you're looking forward to?
I'm not sure yet. There's a guy named Space Monkey up there. See if I can get Space Monkey.
There you go. I like it. Brian Fury's also it's his last main appearance. He's going to take on Ace Romero. That should be a hell of a match. Brian Fury's been talking some smack about Ace, saying that he went to his school and then he had to transfer because it was too tough. And then he had to come back with his tail between his legs. Man, they're fighting words.
Then he lost 80 pounds, then gained 120 of it back.
Oh, man, brutal. So, yeah, tons of good matches going on up there. So I'm looking forward to getting the report back from you, Harmon. Let's see what else for plugs. We've got That Wrestling Club. The November crate came in, and man, it was a doozy. I loved it. We can spill the beans. We can talk about it. I'm going to release my video soon, but I'll say this. The autograph was woo, woo, woo. Very good. I loved it.
You know it.
It was great. Zack Ryder, legit WWE superstar right there. I mean, that's a great autograph. It's something you don't see very often from some of these other crate services. So That Wrestling Club definitely does it right. They got some really cool stuff in there this month. So keep an eye out for my YouTube video, my unboxing video.
The T-shirt was very presidential.
The whole theme was very
election. Yes.
Well, it's it's election month, sure. But yeah, it had a good, fun feel to it. So I liked it.
I'm gonna put the bumper sticker on my car.
I will as well. Don't blame me. I voted for McMahon. That's what it says. So, all right, guys, let's get into some recent news. Not too much going on. Vader. Oh, big bomb drop from Vader this week. Claims that his doctor has told him he has 2 years to live because of some heart trouble. Man, that's a bummer. What are you guys' thoughts on Vader and this recent news? I don't know, Greg. Why don't you start it off?
I was pretty bummed out when I heard it. I always liked Vader quite a bit when he came to WWE. I didn't really see him in WCW too much because WCW wasn't huge when he was in it, so I wasn't watching it then. But I loved his run in WWE. He had some pretty good rivalries. Particularly, what I remember is him and Shawn Michaels had some pretty good matches for And I remember him being able to do a moonsault, which is insane for a guy his size. So, obviously he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think Mick Foley's pushing for it, so I think that he's an obvious choice this year, and it's really unfortunate, the news.
Yeah. I'm surprised that he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. I feel like he's a guy that is definitely deserving. I feel like there's some other people in there that are not so deserving, and he definitely should be in there. But yeah, I was definitely bummed out as well. Bouch, any thoughts on Vader?
Yeah, it's sad stuff. I mean, Vader really hasn't gone completely off the grid ever. I mean, his big run stopped, but he's kind of been poking in here and there. I know he's big on the indies. He recently had that beef with Will Ospreay and the whole New Japan thing. So he's kind of always been relevant. And you don't ever forget about Vader. Christ, he was on Boy Meets World one time. That's a huge cameo right there. But it is sad to see, especially something like that where he's given like a timeline and that's really depressing. Hopefully he can get. I don't know. I hope something can be. He can make that last a little longer. I don't know. He doesn't seem like the healthiest, but maybe he can get some better news coming up and stuff. But yeah, my heart's out for him. It sucks.
Yeah, Harmon. What about you?
I don't know. Bouch stole my thunder with the Boy Meets World thing.
Oh yeah, that was a fun episode. I liked Boy Meets World. It's a good show. Yeah.
Frankie's dead.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's too bad about Vader. Like Bouch said, hopefully he can get some better news here pretty soon. And obviously, I mean, getting into the Hall of Fame, it's a nice gesture, but we'd rather just have him be healthy and keep on trucking. So.
Just had a match too, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's still super active. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Moving on. We don't really touch on UFC too much unless it crosses, lines into WWE, and seems like Conor McGregor is always doing that. So Conor McGregor, the news about him is that he won the lightweight championships, and now he's like dual champion, featherweight and lightweight, which is cool enough. But the way it ties into the wrestling is that Triple H was actually at that fight and has expressed some more interest in Conor, maybe doing a WrestleMania spot or something. Those news stories are starting to peek their ugly head up again. So we'll see what happens with that. Harmon, any thoughts on McGregor, his win, his involvement with WWE in the future, maybe?
The guy can talk, he can sell some tickets. I really liked your Twitter comment the other day that, yeah, he can go for a third belt as long as he doesn't defend the other two.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing with the lightweight championship is that the last time he even touched that division was like back in December of last year. So it's like it's been almost a year. He hasn't defended that championship. So it's like, sure, it's easy to hold on to those belts if you don't defend them. I mean, you think of like the guys in the UFC in the past that probably could have done it if they didn't have to. I mean, Anderson Silva was constantly fighting in middleweight guys, and then a few times he moved up to light heavyweight. He just embarrassed those guys. So it's like, if he wanted to, he probably could have, been a dual champion as well. But I don't know. It's just, the guy was always defending his middleweight title. So it's tricky. I think that UFC knows that Conor McGregor is their cash cow right now. So, making grudge matches with like Diaz was obviously big money for them, but it didn't really mean anything as far as, the title goes. They weren't for any kind of title. So I don't know. It's just UFC. I've said it a million times before. They're more WWE than they like to lead on, but we'll see. I think Triple H is probably pretty serious about having Conor come over for WrestleMania. I don't know how game Conor is. I know he always wants huge money for everything he does, so they might just say, screw it, but I don't know. Greg or Bouch, anybody want to dive in on the McGregor situation? Go
for it, Greg.
My issue with Conor McGregor is that he most recently dumped on pro wrestling, but he models his entire career around it. From his, you look at his press conferences, the way he carries himself in the ring, the way he trash talks, like that's where he gets his persona from. So it's obviously maybe it's just some sort of work he's doing when he kind of crapped on it, but you're either trying to be part of wrestling or you're not. That's what kind of bugs me about him.
Yeah, totally. Bouch, you have something to say on that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I feel like it is a work. I feel like that is him, and he's the epitome of the heel in WWE that gets pops and that has a big following because he's a badass. He talks shit, and people like that. And so wherever he goes, money will follow. And I think the fact that he shit on pro wrestling is, if there were to have something happen at WrestleMania, that's a really good way to break into the storyline. And I think it could be better than when like Floyd Mayweather boxed the Big Show. There could be a lot more, be a much bigger draw than that.
Yeah, I agree.
What did McGregor say the other day? He wants $100 million to fight Mayweather.
Yeah, in a boxing match.
In a boxing match.
Yeah. I think Conor McGregor gets mopped in a boxing match with Floyd.
Oh yeah.
And no contest.
Yeah, no contest in like skill, and also endurance too. I don't think Conor McGregor can go 12 rounds. Like you can't. I mean, I know that the rounds are longer in UFC. They're 5-minute rounds, but it's I've seen him gas, after like 3 rounds, and like Mayweather's stamina is just incredible. So I don't think he stands any kind of chance, and I think he knows that. So that's why he wants the maximum payout for it. If he's gonna lose, he's gonna get a shit ton of money for it. So,
and Floyd Mayweather will never do it because Conor McGregor is not a woman. So,
hey-o, jeez, zinger, Greg, holy moly, goodness. One last thing on this is I was going to mention this earlier, but the whole point of him like not defending his title, it's been reminding me lately of that line in Black Sheep with Chris Farley where they're playing checkers, and he's like, yeah, it's easy to win when you never move your back row. like that's the thing. It's like if you never defend your title, then you're never going to lose them, and you can be, of course, you can be a dual champion or triple champion. Of course you can if you never defend your titles. So, but I don't know. Anyway, fellas, let's get into some Survivor Series talk. How do you guys think this particular Survivor Series has been built? You don't need to go into details because we'll get into that with the certain matches, but just overall, what do you think the vibe is? SmackDown versus Raw. You think they've kind of built matches right around this thing? Let's see, Bouch, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it's the brand split allowed some really cool options here, but I don't know. I to be honest, I missed parts of Raw this week, but I feel like there wasn't enough time given. I don't think anything's been set up poorly, but I think it would have been better to have more time with the brands on their own for a while, and then kind of introducing a cross-brand thing. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that bad. I just think that it's a timing thing, but it's definitely cool. Having Taker come out on SmackDown the other day and make those comments and kind of get that like kind of threaten Raw, like that was really cool. And the fact that he's back is awesome. So I think leading up to it, especially this last week, they did a really good job kind of leading us to Sunday.
Yeah, right on. Greg, what about you?
I was actually pretty worried with brand split because I was like, how long is it going to be until they're like, oh, we got to have some Raw versus SmackDown matches? But they've actually played this pretty well. They've actually built this up really well. There's so many overlapping, especially in the men's. There's so many overlapping storylines. Like you've got the Shield is now all face, but you've got Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins on one team, and you've got Dean Ambrose on the other team, which is like a crazy dynamic. And then you think about like you've got like Seth Rollins and AJ Styles and Kevin Owens and all those like ROH guys, all on teams that kind of the fans are going to be excited to see them go at it. And then you've got like Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman, and I think that they've played this up really well. Even the women, like I'm kind of interested to see the women's match because they've even done a pretty good job building that up as well. Like you've got, it's not so much because the brand split hasn't been going on that long. So it's not so much that it's interesting that, oh, you're going to get to see this person against this person. Well, it hasn't been that long since you've seen that. What's really interesting is the people that have to work together. So I really like that dynamic of it, and I think that these are going to be really good Survivor Series matches.
Nice. Yeah, no, I agree with all that. That you make some very good points. Harmon, what about you? Excited for Survivor Series?
But not really. I don't know how any of these are gonna, they're gonna have to really work, I think, to get some of these matches to help carry along storylines on their own show. You kind of have, it's kind of a perfect vehicle for that, really. You can have guys screwing each other over, not tagging in or tagging in another guy, or, but I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. I want to see where it goes from here and how it leads into the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
Yeah, I feel that there are certain members of teams that, like, it's just not going to work. Why does Bray care about this? Like, Bray is supposed to be, and we can get more into this when we talk about that actual match, but, why these teams are constructed so oddly. Like, if you were actually putting together teams, you would want, like, cohesive units, and it just seems like none of these teams are cohesive units, and they're not really doing a great job leading up to this, like keeping them healthy. Like they're having them fight each other, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know. It seems very strange to me. But that being said, I do like how they're just constructed because of all the controversy on each team, and we'll see where it leads. And if people, Harmon, like you said, maybe people are screwing each other over, or if the brand pride kind of stays true and they, I don't know, work as a team, I guess. But all right, let's.
Like I didn't get Bray Wyatt like getting in Braun Strowman's face, telling him you left the family, you abandoned your family.
Right.
He got drafted to a different show.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't like he had a choice in the matter.
I interpreted that as him just trying to get in his head. I guess when I saw that, I was like, oh, he's trying to get in his head and trying to talk him out of being in the match, I guess.
Yeah. I guess, but it really just goes back.
But sometimes I think I give the writers too much credit, though, when I have theories like that.
Yeah, no, it just goes back to my thing, though, where I was just like, well, why does Bray care? Like, why did Bray even go to, wherever? Like, did they go to? Yeah, they went to Raw, right? SmackDown went to Raw. The guys, like, they invaded. Yeah. So it's like, why? Yeah. Like, why did he even go? Like, he doesn't care. Him and Randy are just like they're in their own thing. So I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. So
I'm hoping that the lack of Luke Harper leads into a match.
Huh? Yeah, that's definitely a cool angle that they're doing with Harper. I really am excited to see where that leads. I think we all know where it's going to lead, but
we know where it should lead. Where it does lead is another fucking thing.
That's true. But I'll be happy to watch it unfold if it goes right.
How many times over the past year have we said, this writes itself? This writes itself. And
then they write something else. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So, all right, guys, let's start in on the first match. We've got, oh, God, this pains me to say this, but The Miz defending the Intercontinental Championship.
The true and rightful Intercontinental Champion
against Sami Zayn. The Miz just won the Intercontinental Championship back from Dolph Ziggler on Tuesday, which I find to be so confusing and so just I don't know, pointless and crazy.
Backwards.
And yeah, like, why do that? Like, you have a match already set up between Ziggler and Zayn, which everybody's excited about. I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I was pretty excited to see those two guys go at it.
They would have
face versus yeah, it's face versus face, and I know that Vince doesn't like that, but fuck it, man. A lot of people do. They would have torn the house down, like you said, and it would have been a great match. But then they go ahead and they change it for no reason at all. I don't know. Harmon, we'll kind of go back this way now. Harmon, what do you think about Miz versus Zayn for the IC belt? And who do you think's going over?
I like it. I like Miz way better as the IC champ than Dolph. He talks more shit. You want to see him get beat, so you're always voting, hoping that the Miz loses. I could care less about Dolph Ziggler and the IC title when he had it. It was like he wasn't even on TV with it much, was he? He was just invisible to me as the IC champ. Miz stuck out like a sore thumb when he was IC champion. And I kind of want to see Sami Zayn win, but I think the Miz retains and keeps the belt on SmackDown.
All right. Greg, what about you?
I didn't understand the decision. I think the Miz has had a good year, and I think he's pretty good right now. But you could have had a match of the year candidate with Ziggler and Sami Zayn, and I also feel like Vince is trying to have it two ways, because you read reports that, oh, it's no more faces and heels anymore. That line is blurred. But at the same time, you also read something like, oh, well, he wants Zayn to beat the Miz because he's a heel, and it's like, well, you can't have it both ways. And they really ruined the potential for a really great match that these two could have had. And I honestly don't care about the Miz versus Sami Zayn. And at least there would have been something there with Ziggler versus Zayn. I predict, because of the possibility that Zayn takes the title to Raw, and this would be the last chance for Ziggler to have a rematch clause, that he enacts that rematch clause and it becomes a triple threat at Survivor Series.
Interesting thoughts. I was thinking that too about a triple threat, and I'm just not excited to see it. I wanted the barn burner, man. I wanted Ziggs versus Zayn to tear the house down, and that's it. And the thing is, they built it up. They built this whole thing, and then at the last minute, they just changed it. It's like, it's lame. Bouch, what do you think?
Just because it's so lame, that leads me to believe that Greg's onto something with them doing something to involve him again. But with all the buildup that they did in that last championship match to, his last chance, and really drawing it out, and then having him finally get it, and then like 3 weeks later, it's like it's back. And I just think, number one, the belt has been moving around too often anyway. But it's been moving too often, and I'll say that I like Miz, and I think Miz is important to WWE in the fact that he's one of their best heels and does it right. But I don't think he has to always be the next person to get the IC title back, which is what it's been. It just keeps bouncing back to him. Like with this, there should be some great matches, a lengthy reign, and then let this guy move on to something different. I feel like this is stalling everybody involved. And I'm not as interested in this match as I would have been with Zayn involved, but I think that Miz takes it this Sunday.
Right on. I think that Zayn will take it as well. I feel like the reason that they did the switcheroo through with the Miz is so that they had heel versus face, and then Sami Zayn could take it off of the Miz instead of the Miz taking it off of. Instead of Zayn taking it off of Ziggler, which I don't know. Like, I was fine with them tearing the house down and then Ziggs still dropping it to Zayn. I would have been okay with that. I think Sami.
Yeah, they really could have. They really could have made it so Zayn still wins and protect Ziggler. You know what I mean? If that's the problem, I guess.
Yeah, and I get it was like a dusty finish there with with Maurice getting involved, but it's like that seems to always happen. And I wanted to tweet after to like Dolph Ziggler and be like, man, do you just ever get sick of losing? Like, I get that it's scripted, but do you ever get sick of just when they tell you, hey, you're going to drop the Intercontinental title to The Miz tonight? Do you ever just get sick of it? You ever just go like, God, why? This doesn't make any sense. Or are you just like happy to, get your paycheck and then be on TV and then go to wherever they were touring, this week, like it just bothers me. And obviously it bothers me more than it does him because it just keeps happening. But I don't know. It's just really bothersome that he keeps getting the title, dropping it, and then, like Bouch said, they just keep bouncing it back and forth, and it's stalling everybody involved. I mean, I would like to. What's that?
I said hot potato.
Oh yeah, it's hot potato. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see somebody else get involved, like, I don't know, Corbin or just somebody like get involved with something. I mean, and I loved that Zayn was getting involved in it because it was somebody else, it was somebody different, and it was somebody deserving. But we'll see what happens. I hope Zayn takes it. Let's see. Moving on, we've got the Cruiserweight Championship. The Brian Kendrick versus Kalisto? That doesn't make sense. Did you see my shock at that? Kalisto? I don't know how excited I am about this match. Is there a more lackluster division than the Cruiserweights right now? I mean, and it's not. I feel it's not their fault necessarily. I think that they have so many guys with talent, but it's just, man, you got to do something with them. You can't just have like Kendrick and Perkins jabber over who deserves the belt. Like, it's just strange. Greg, what do you think about this?
I don't know. I
know
feel
you
really
love
bad
though.
I enjoy the cruiserweight matches, but it's so silent, and I don't understand because they're like the most exciting wrestlers to watch. I love TJ Perkins. I love Kendrick's awesome. I mean, they're all great. There's not a cruiserweight that I dislike except Sin Cara and
the 235-pound cruiserweight. Sin Cara? Yeah.
Yes. I think moving it to SmackDown will help, and I don't really have a good reason why. I don't have anything to back up that theory, but I just think it's going to be better because Daniel Bryan's there, and I don't know. And Morrow on commentary maybe, even though he annoys the bejesus out of me. I don't know.
Yeah. Bouch, what do you think?
With kind of like what Greg said, I just feel like, yeah, okay, it's great that Kalisto's involved, but like there's so many other cruiserweights that have been introduced, especially through the tournament, and not that like Kalisto doesn't have a place in all of this, but like it was great seeing TJ Perkins and Kendrick go at it, and like they should be focusing on giving more face time to some of the other cruiserweights that they've signed, I think. But I don't know. I see Kendrick keeping the title, and I don't really know. I think that it belongs more on Raw just because Raw's going to get stale if they don't have something to continually mix up the 3-hour block. But that's what Bouch thinks.
Third person. All right. Harmon, over to you. What do you think about this cruiserweight debacle?
I hope it comes to SmackDown. I want to see, I think there's more opportunity on SmackDown. Daniel Bryan always says that SmackDown's the show of opportunity, and they might do a better job if they get rid of the purple ropes and maybe change the strap color on that thing. And you get guys like the Oni Lorcan match. That guy came out and was on fire, and it was something a little different than everybody else.
Yeah, I agree, man. I love the matches. I think I side more with Bouch on where the Cruiserweight division should be, though, on what show. I really think it should stay on Raw, but they got to do something different with it. I agree with you, Harmon, that they got to get rid of those purple ropes, and like that's just a mess. Like, why? It's got to be kind of included in the show, because as of right now, it's kind of like this outcast thing that you either care about or you don't. And
they need to include the Cruiserweight guys in regular matches.
Yes,
have them wrestle everybody else.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree.
It's not a handicap. It's just a weight class.
Right. Yep. No, totally. And I know that they're getting their own show now too, which, man, that's a whole nother topic for discussion. But Raw is 3 hours long. It's like if you can't find a spot for these guys in 3 hours, like you clearly are doing something wrong. If they go over to SmackDown, which is a 2-hour show, and they excel, what does that say? Like, what does that say about Raw? It says that it's garbage is what it says, that they can't write. So, and I'm surprised that Kalisto is in this match, as you can tell by my announcement of this match. But I wouldn't be surprised if he won. Putting the title on.
I was surprised. I was surprised that they decided to put Kalisto on Raw when they knew that the Cruiserweight division was going to. Kalisto to SmackDown when they knew that the Cruiserweights were going to Raw.
Yeah.
Like the natural fit into the Cruiserweight division.
Right. Yeah, and I think that he's a more familiar face with especially the more current viewers too. He's been here for the last couple of years. People know Kalisto. They sell his masks and stuff. On the shop, and kids really like him. As far as Brian Kendrick, he's a returning star that hasn't been around in forever. So I don't know if it's catching on as much as it should. I know that we all love him because we remember, what he was, and now this version of Brian Kendrick's pretty awesome. But I don't know if the younger crowd is really taken to that. And I think putting the strap on Kalisto, who is, at least in the eyes of many, is considered a established, star already. And then the rest of the Cruiserweight division can, kind of fight amongst themselves and maybe earn their way to a title shot. I don't know. That's just what I was thinking about it. But I don't know.
Yeah, Kalisto.
To Harmon's point, I think he's right in saying that one thing that needs to change in order to make it fresh is for them to stop making it like a separate part of the show and make it like get rid of the ropes, that sort of thing. Make them mingle more into everything else. I mean, this is where if we brought some factions back and they could, Cruiserweights could be like part of other storylines, even though they're in the Cruiserweight division, that would help things and make things more cohesive, I think. But right now it's, they're dimming the lights and they're changing the ropes, and it feels different when you're watching it. It almost feels sometimes when I look at it that they've already taped it and they're playing it halfway through the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think part of the problem is too nowadays, everybody above 205 does all the stuff that the little guys do. Everybody does dives out of the ring. People are doing, frog splashes. You got Kevin Owens is 260 pounds doing frog splashes. You got Seth Rollins, who's 6'3", doing Phoenix splashes. You didn't have that before, and it's kind of taken some of the shine off the smaller guys who, we grew up watching do that stuff.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Harmon. I agree. I mean, I still think that these guys are pretty amazing to watch, and they'll do some things that some of these bigger guys can't do. But yeah, it's in comparison to them, you can almost get the same thing when you see Kevin Owens, do a frog splash. You're like, man, that's a big guy doing a frog splash, or like you said, Rollins doing a Phoenix splash. You're like, man, that's
or 300-pound Big E doing a suicide dive between the ropes.
Yeah, it's almost more of a spectacle that a guy that size is doing it than a guy that's 160 pounds. But yeah, I still think that they're so talented, and they can have some really great matches. Just the different styles alone within that cruiserweight division, like you mentioned, Harmon, Oni Lorcan, and you get guys like Drew Gulak, who are more kind of like ground-based guys. Like I like those kinds of guys. And then you have, your Cedric Alexanders, who are kind of like high flyer guys. So it's a fun division. It's just gotta be done better. Like they have to put. Like basically everything you guys said. I'm not going to repeat it, but just, putting him in the mix. So,
Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho, when they were in the cruiserweight division of WCW, they weren't high flyers. They were technical wrestlers. Jericho had a couple of springboard moves off the ropes and stuff, but he wasn't doing backflips off the top rope. You had your contrasting styles even back then.
Yeah.
But now everybody's doing everything all the time. It's makes it kind of lame.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's see. Moving on, man. This is a monster, huge match. This is a 10-on-10 Survivor Series tag team elimination match for team. What's that, Bouch?
A 20-man tag.
This is insane. God, so many people in this match. For Team Raw, we got New Day, we got Sheamus and Cesaro, we got Gallows and Anderson, Enzo and Cass, and the Shining Stars for some strange reason versus Team SmackDown, Slater and Rhino, the Hype Bros, American Alpha, the Usos, and Breezango. So this is just gonna be fucking chaos. This is the match I'm looking forward to the least, and I think probably everybody is, hopefully, because it really doesn't mean too much. And you have people in here like the Shining Stars, who I shake my head every time they get a pay-per-view match. So let's see who wants to go first. Yeah, Bouch, what do you think about this thing?
The same thing you just said. It's a kind of a clusterfuck of I don't care, but
yeah.
I don't know. There's stuff in there that's interesting. I think they're doing cool stuff with Sheamus and Cesaro that I'm liking. They're just like little pieces of this, but I say it goes Raw, and that Sheamus and Cesaro are the final team that's in there when they win. Not much else. It's just an excuse to cram a bunch of the roster into one giant match. There's going to be a lot of like quick eliminations and that sort of thing. A time suck.
Yeah. I agree. I'm assuming that
there's going to be a lot of guys selling on the outside of the ring for an exorbitant amount of time.
That's true. That's true.
Lots of dives off the top rope onto 20 people.
Yes, that's totally happening. That's totally happening. With you, I think Team Raw wins. I don't know who's the survivor. Maybe the New Day. Maybe Sheamus and Cesaro. But if Team SmackDown did have a chance, I would like to see obviously American Alpha be a survivor. But who knows? Those guys. I feel like those guys can lose nowadays, and it's not a big thing. And it's not a big deal. I don't know why I feel that way about them. They're not as unstoppable as they used to be. But so I'm gonna go Team Raw though. Harmon, what do you think?
Team SmackDown is going to win, and I will tell you exactly why.
Okay.
If you look at Team Raw, you only have 2 teams with a tag team name.
Okay.
The New Day and the Shining Stars. Team SmackDown has 4. You've got American Alpha, the Hype Bros, the Usos, and Breezango. Those are teams, real teams, not Sheamus and Cesaro because they couldn't think of anything else better for them to do. Gallows and Anderson because, well, we signed them, we might as well use them.
Yeah.
I think the final team is going to be American Alpha, and they're finally going to start getting their push towards the SmackDown tag team titles.
Yeah, but they got Slater and Rhino got to lose it to somebody before American Alpha can win it, because of course, remember, heels versus faces around here. American Alpha versus Heath Slater, who is fucking white hot right now. But who knows? Greg, what do you think?
I think I'm going to go with Harmon on this one. Team SmackDown all the way. I'm going to predict that the final team is American Alpha. Big thing in the future for those guys, and I think this is a good way to get them going on that.
There we go. Nice. All right, let's move on to the ladies. 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match.
Ooh, it's a lady.
We have Team Raw, headed up by Charlotte Flair, alongside Bayley, Nia Jax, Alicia Fox, and Sasha Banks. And apparently Dana Brooke is going to be there for some reason. She's listed here. Against Team SmackDown, Nikki Bella, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and Naomi. And they have Natalya on their side as like a coach or something. God, they just really love to include everybody in here. So I like the way that this has been built so far. I like the invasion kind of angle. Nia Jax has been a monster throughout all of this. And, I think I think it was Harmon at the beginning of this show said, the dynamics between like teams and stuff, between team members. Like, this is a great example of it. Charlotte and Banks being on the same team and Bayley in there. It's cool to see what's going to happen and who's going to turn. So I got to pick somebody. I'm going to pick Team Raw, I think. I don't know. I guess. I think Team Raw. Team Raw. Harmon, what do you think?
I'm going to have to stick with the blue brand. I think they're going to give either Becky Lynch or Alexa Bliss the rub here as the final survivor. I like SmackDown's women's division better. They're using more of their women in better ways than Raw is, I think. So,
yeah, it's interesting too because both sides have had really good feuds this year. With Charlotte and Sasha, and then on Team SmackDown, I mean, Nikki and Carmella have been fierce towards each other. It's like, how are they going to survive on the same team? And Becky and Alexa have been, nasty to each other. So it's just, I don't know how that team is going to really coincide with each other. But Bouch, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think SmackDown takes this, and I agree that it's interesting on how they've had so many great feuds in the women's division on both shows, and that they're making this like a feud within a feud. You got people. Nikki and Carmella are having this fierce thing, and Charlotte and Sasha, those guys, and now they're coming through. At some point during the match, things will fall apart, and that will thin out because of it. But I think SmackDown takes it.
Nice, Greg. Over to you.
I'm going with both Harmon and Bouch on this one. I think SmackDown once again takes it, and just for the simple fact, kind of like what Bouch said, is there's too much dissension on the Raw team with Charlotte heading up the team. I think that you've got Bayley, you've got Sasha that don't really like her. I just think that that's going to fall apart for them, and I think the SmackDown girls deserve the rub there. So I think that's going to be SmackDown taking that one.
You guys realize that this will end Charlotte's streak if she loses?
I did not. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't know if that counts because it's not an individual match.
It definitely counts. I think it counts.
I'm going to say it doesn't count.
It always counts. It'll count. Guaranteed.
You're wrong. It's not going to count.
I am never wrong. But we'll see. I feel really dumb when Team Raw takes it.
Agree to disagree.
All right, let's move on to the men's 5-5 Survivor Series elimination match between Team Raw and Team SmackDown. On Raw, we have Harmon, your boy, Kevin Owens, the Universal Champion.
Hey-o!
Alongside Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and Seth Rollins. They are taking on the team of AJ Styles, who is the world champion, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, and Shane McMahon, of all people. And that team will have James Ellsworth, allegedly, by their side. So,
I'm calling foul. Foul right from the beginning.
With Ellsworth?
SmackDown gets to have Ellsworth kicking around?
I guess, yeah.
That's an unfair advantage. That man has beaten AJ Styles twice.
I know. Right? He should be on the team.
Way too powerful. It really just tips the scales too far in SmackDown's favor.
Yeah. Do you want to keep going? We'll start off with you. If you're already on this James Ellsworth kick, bring it.
I think that Team Raw is going to take this. The Undertaker's words, I think, were a little prophetic in that he's going to have to do something to light a fire under the SmackDown guy's ass. They've kind of stalled out a little bit on SmackDown, I think. I mean, you've just had the AJ and Dean thing kind of going on and on with Ellsworth trickled in here and there. The Wyatt and Randy Orton thing is kind of just weird right now. We're not really sure what Randy Orton is doing. Is he playing him? Is he really bought in? Where does Luke Harper fit into all this? There's just too much distraction on Team SmackDown.
Yeah. Let's see. Greg, what do you think?
This one is going to Team Raw. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pull a Harmon. I'm going to tell you exactly how it's going to happen. It's going to come down to you're going to have your survivors on Team SmackDown. You're going to have Dean Ambrose. And on Raw, you're going to have your team of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And that's what it's going to come down to. And, of course, if you've got those three 2-on-1, you're going to see the Shield powerbomb done to Dean Ambrose and then a Raw victory.
Interesting. Bouch, what do you think?
I think Raw takes it, and I was gonna say I don't have a good reason, but the fact that there's so much. I feel like SmackDown's the weaker team in what they have going on. I think Ellsworth involved kind of screams that he'll fuck something up to cost them the match. I think there's a bunch of things they could do with that. I think Raw's a stronger team. It's got more potential going into it. It goes to Raw.
Ellsworth versus Taker, Royal Rumble. Mark it down.
Yeah.
Nakamura.
Yeah. Who versus Nakamura?
I said James Ellsworth is Shinsuke Nakamura.
Nice.
He did just announce that he is no longer taking independent bookings, so he may be here to stay.
Thank God.
Yeah, I think so. I like the addition of Ellsworth. He's been actually like a pretty he's had a pretty key role in all of this. So
oh yeah.
I love the inclusion of James Ellsworth in all of this. I think it makes what could have potentially been a really stale feud between Ambrose and AJ. It makes it really interesting, like having him included in all of this. So let's see. For me, for this match, I'm gonna make a habit of disagreeing with you guys today. I don't know why, because if you look at Team Raw, they seem to be the more cohesive unit. I mean, you got Rollins and Reigns, who seem to be on the same page as of now. Owens and Jericho, obviously, two peas in a pod. And you got Strowman as the wild card, but he doesn't seem too dangerous towards his own team. He just seems like, a wrecking ball. So on paper, it looks like it could go Raw's way. But I think they're going to throw a little swerve at us. Survivor Series is notorious for swerves. Sting recently, a couple years ago. Obviously, Montreal Screwjob. I mean, the list goes on.
Gobbledygooker.
What's that?
The gobbledygooker.
Gobbledygooker. Yep, that's a good one. That's a good swerve. So I don't know. I think that it could come down to kind of like how you guys said with Ambrose on one side and maybe Rollins and Reigns on the other side, and then I don't know. We might get a little interference from Ellsworth, or we might maybe see the dead man himself make an appearance. I mean, he is back, so I'm surprised I'd be surprised if he didn't show his face here. It's where he was essentially born on Survivor Series, so he could have some shady business in this match and maybe secure the win for SmackDown. And then, after that, maybe they start up. I would love to see him start a feud with AJ. Maybe AJ is like, hey, thanks for, helping us out. And Taker's just basically not having it, pissed off that he had to get involved. And, I don't know. I think it'd be a cool WrestleMania match. So
They could. Oh, sorry.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Bad pocket. Finish your thought.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm going to put it on paper. I think SmackDown wins. I think maybe Ambrose is the lone survivor. Or maybe AJ. AJ and Ambrose, I think, might both be survivors. Because they're really pushing AJ right now. So what were you going to say, Bouch?
I was just throwing in a joke. If the other thing could be that if Undertaker and AJ formed a tag team, they could be called the Phenomenal Ones.
You. I love it. I bet that would be like a joke that like a goofy joke AJ would like present to Taker to like just like a deadpan face to Taker like and he just doesn't have it. So
that's all I want to happen now.
Yeah,
is that tag team.
Yeah, or at least like AJ like present the idea and then Taker just not having it and just does like the slitting the throat kind of motion and then like, just tombstones him or something. I'd pay to see that segment. Main event time, I guess. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. This is a match that has been hyped. I think it's been hyped pretty well. I mean, it's made me really tune in to Raw when usually I don't, and I'll just catch it on to like Hulu or whatever. But if I hear that, Goldberg, when Goldberg was going to make his first appearance, like I tuned in when they had their face-to-face this week, like I tuned in. It's something that is making it must-see TV again, at least for this segment, and at least for the build-up. I don't have any high expectations for what this match is going to be. I think this match will be pretty short and pretty terrible, actually. But I love just the build of it. So I don't really know. I'm assuming Lesnar wins, I guess. I can't really see why Goldberg would win. I don't know. I don't know really why I like this match so much. But I'll let you guys dive in. Greg, what do you think?
I just think it's going to be cool to see Goldberg back, and I think that's really the only part of that that's cool. I mean, I don't think Goldberg's ready for a wrestling match, unfortunately. So I think it's going to make the match suffer. But I think that I think the crowd's going to be really into it, which is going to be really cool. You're going to see, Lesnar's in it. So the last time we saw these two guys go at it, we knew they were both leaving. So I feel like there was some animosity to this match. when you watch this match coming on Sunday, you know that Lesnar's in for the long haul, so you know you're going to get Lesnar in the future. Goldberg's up in the air, but I have a feeling that if this goes well, you'll probably see at least WrestleMania for Goldberg. So what I think is going to happen here is probably Lesnar goes over, so they have to have a rubber match at WrestleMania, which hopefully Goldberg will be ready for a little bit more that he's going to be ready for on Sunday.
Yeah, that would make sense. Harmon, over to you. What do you think?
I was initially pretty, blah about this match. I'm like, we've already seen it. It's crap. I think Goldberg's done, everything he could do to make me want to watch this match. I want to see him kick Brock Lesnar's ass. I think Brock Lesnar is the biggest asshole in wrestling, and he's only in it for the money. And I have no respect for him, and I want to see him get beat. So
Yeah,
I want to see Goldberg running around the ring after the match with his kid on his shoulders, being the hero.
I would like to see that as well. I mean, I think Lesnar's going to win, but I would like to see Goldberg win. He really did make me for Goldberg. I was never a big Goldberg fan, but man, his intensity is still, he's still got it. I don't think he cuts a very good promo, but just his presence is pretty intense and pretty awesome. Bouch, what do you think?
This match, who will get noticeably winded first? Let's see. That's what I'm betting my money on. No, I'm joking though, because I don't think Goldberg's in the best shape to come back to the ring in, but it is cool to see him come back no matter what. I'm a sucker every time you bring someone like and notable figures from the past are getting few and far between to come by, because most wrestlers who wrestled 20 years ago are barely walking still. So having said that, I think it doesn't really make sense for Goldberg to win. I hope that there's a bigger match in there. In fact, it would be really cool to go back to Mania for a rubber match, like Greg said. I think that's a really good idea. I'm interested to see how long this goes and how he does during it. I always, whenever I think Goldberg, I think of this video of his entrance where he does his like judo chop thing or whatever he does during his pyro. And he tripped over himself and fell. And that stuck with me. That was one day for him. He screwed it up once, and I've remembered it my entire life.
And if it's ever been more likely to happen, it's going to be at Survivor Series.
I really can't wait.
Oh, man. Yeah, so I don't know, man. Should be good. What do you guys think? That's pretty much Survivor Series. What do you guys think of Survivor Series as a whole? You guys can rate this thing 1 to 10. 10 being phenomenal. What do you guys think this is going to come out to be? Harmon, what about you? What do you think?
I'm going to say it's going to be. I'll give it a 6.
Yeah,
because I think the Goldberg match might be memorable. Even if it's for the bad, it'll be memorable.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, Greg.
I'm gonna go 7.5 because I think there's gonna be a lot of cool moments in the pay-per-view on the whole. So I think it's gonna be rough in a lot of spots, but I really think that it's gonna deliver some pretty memorable moments. So 7.5. I don't think I'm gonna be disappointed, but I think that I'm not gonna be overwhelmed also.
Yeah. Bouch?
Just because I like to one-up Greg, I'm going to go for 8.
You son of a bitch.
And, Survivor Series as a kid was always my favorite. It was like I loved that. And in the last 7-8 years, I thought it sucked. Like I have not had a Survivor Series in recent memory that I've been like, oh my God, that was awesome. I was at the Survivor Series with Dustin 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and it was the worst pay-per-view that I've attended. And so I've just been let down by it, and going into it knowing that it was going to be a letdown. This I think has a lot more balance to it. It's got a really good headline. I'm excited for it. I think there's enough on the card to make it interesting, different, and a lot of creative ways they can go with it. So I'm very positive and hopeful for it.
Just for shits and giggles, who was on that card? Like, what was the one that you went to? I'm just trying to think of a couple years ago.
Oh, God. It was...
It was the year before... It must have been, like, the year before Ziggler's win, right? Or...
God. It must have been 2 years ago. I ran into that guy from WrestleMania, the guy who's been stalking me forever.
Oh, boy.
Maybe that's another story. That was one where, like... Eva Marie got booed out of the house. It was like her first appearance on the main roster, and she wasn't really on the main roster. She just did one of the Survivor Series matches. Shit, I'd have to look it up. That's how forgettable it was. It was really bad.
Nice. Okay. I'm gonna side with you, Bouch. I'm gonna say this is gonna be an 8. I think it's gonna be a pretty decent card. There's a lot of possibilities. This could either be an 8 or like a 4 if things don't go right. I have high hopes. I think it's going to be like an 8. I think if Zayn wins the IC belt in like a pretty like monumental fashion, I think that'll be nice. I think if Kalisto doesn't, kill himself with a botch, I think that'll be a plus. I think there's a lot of really cool things that you can do in the men's Survivor Series match. I mean, everybody in that match is super talented. There's going to be some crazy spots. And if Lesnar and Goldberg isn't a complete shit show, I think we all win. And, if the presence of The Undertaker happens, maybe, that's just bonus points. I think it's going to be an 8. I think it'll be good. So cool. That is Survivor Series. That's our preview and predictions. So before we get into our plugs and outro, we got a couple new fantasy teams, Survivor Series teams like we did last week. Reached out to some of the listeners again and on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. So let's see, give a couple shout outs and let me know what you guys think about these teams. We've got Christian, and I hope his last name I'm pronouncing it right, Principe, something like that. He's got Stone Cold, the Sandman, and Beer Money, and he would call them DUI. Pretty clever. Like it. All beer drinkers. I love that. So thank you, Christian, for that.
You could throw Michael Hayes in there too, even though that wasn't a gimmick.
No, Christian also, yes, very good. Christian also said, I thought Road Warrior Hawk in the group would be in bad taste. Yeah. Let's see who else we have. Joseph Uzi says Sabu, the Rockers, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I don't know. That's such a weird combo of people. That's a very random mix, but thank you, Joseph. And then we've got Quentin Brockington. He says Owen Hart, Kevin Owens, Y2J, and Sami Zayn. Very Canadian team. So I like it. Thank you guys so much for throwing those teams out there. Did you guys think of any? Like, I know, Greg, last time, like after we got off the air, that's all I could think about is like trying to come up with like fun teams. Did you guys think of any teams like after?
I didn't think of any more. I was really inspired by Harmon and how random his teams were.
Yeah, Harmon, you had some good teams, man. The team with like Glacier and Blackman and Shamrock and like who else? Angle, and there's somebody else in there. That team was legit, man. Holy shit. That was bizarre. I don't know, but anyway, let's see. Moving on. Let's get out of here. Let's do some plugs. You guys can check us out on iTunes, Podbean, smartmark.com, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, all those good places. Just search ISR2M podcast, and you're going to get us. Rate, review, subscribe, all that stuff. Harmon, again, you're going to Limitless Wrestling. Going to be a fun time, isn't it, buddy?
I am. I got to try to keep my girlfriend away from Tyler Nitro and Cam Zagami.
Yeah, keep those guys away from her. There's some lookers there.
No worries.
No worries. Yeah. So it should be a pretty good show. And again, check out That Wrestling Club. Go to thatwrestlingclub.com to sign up. It's definitely worth it, man. You're going to get your money's worth. It's super fun. The autographs are legit. You get some WWE stars like Zack Ryder. You're going to get some legends. I mean, we've gotten Bret Hart before, Hulk Hogan. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy the autographs that Michael pulls in there over at That Wrestling Club. And it's cool to be part of the club. You know, we can too sweet each other, be part of the club. No?
Too sweet.
Too sweet. Oh, man. Let's see. Before we go and get into our Twitter handles, it is November. So I wanted to give thanks again. Last week we kind of did some other podcasts or like businesses such as That Wrestling Club that have kind of given us shout-outs or helped us along the way, or just are nice people and nice to us. So this week I wanted to give some thanks to people who have been on the show, some guests for like interviews and stuff. Not you schmoes. Just kidding, Greg and Bouch. But let's see. We've got yeah, I know. Sorry. We've got big thanks to John David Guerra from Nightmare Pro Wrestling, Chris Mitchell of Custom Wrestling Figures, Kingpin Brian Malonis, Glacier, a.k.a. Ray Lloyd, great guests on the show, Main State Posse, Scott Wild, Molly Adams, Flex Rumble Crunch, and A.R. Fox, Lucha Underground's new edition, A.R. Fox. So thank you guys all and for being part of the show. Harmon, where are you on the wild and wonderful world of Twitter?
I am at Harmon316.
Hell yeah, you are. What are you doing on Twitter? You've been pretty active on there? What are you doing? Doing anything fun? Anything notable?
No, I'm not.
No. Oh, all right.
I used to throw out tweets while I was at work, but they kind of frown upon that now.
Yeah, it sucks when you got to work. That's a bummer. Yeah. Let's see, Greg, over to you. Where are you at on Twitter?
I am at Gregular85. Most recently, I think I mentioned last time, blocked by Kurt Schilling.
Yeah.
For reasons unknown to me, but obviously highly controversial.
Highly.
So you definitely want to follow me.
Yeah, you're a real jerk. How dare you? How dare you? It's Kurt Schilling.
I know. Legend. I know.
Yeah. Bouch, what about you?
Yeah, I have the Twitters.
You've never said you just did Twitter? It's really good.
You can find me at _real_Bouch.
I love that you can't say that. You can't say it without laughing. Oh, so funny.
Say what now?
I've been following the fake one.
You've been following the fake one? Yeah. I just like that you can't say your Twitter handle without laughing. Like, it's just so good.
It's having to say _ twice that really throws me off.
I did not think that one through.
I got to talk to my marketing guy.
Yeah. Anything memorable recently? You've been blocked by anybody? You and Kurt?
Oh, God, no. I like it when you tweet me and I'll retweet you. That's about all.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a real double Dutch rudder over there, guys. You got to cut that shit out.
Yeah.
I'm every time I do a podcast and here I say I'm going to tweet a little more. So who knows? Maybe next time.
Yeah.
My one parting word is that I do remember what the Survivor Series 13 main event was, thanks to Google, and that was Randy Orton versus The Big Show. So you can see why I forgot about that
awful.
That's awful. Wow. Yeah, I would try to erase that from my memory.
There were 2 Survivor Series matches, and one of them was coined Total Divas versus the Real Divas.
Ugh.
And so we're already off to a good start in 2016.
Yeah. Nothing can be as bad as that. Terrible. All right, guys. You guys can check me out on Twitter at Johnny Fashion. Check out this show's Twitter at ISR2M Podcast. Check out smarkandmark.com on Twitter at smarkandmark_PW. Guys, thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. You guys are the best. I look forward to Survivor Series. And, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Congratulations, Dave Dyer, on the new baby.
Oh, Dave Dyer, friend of the show, former guest. He's a dad now. So congratulations. I hope your child grows up to be a WWE champion in some way, shape, or form.
You're just saying that so we could get tickets.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for listening. Peace out, y'all.
Bye.